Welcome to that place where only you can go. That place is the journey within. The journey within. The journey within.
Welcome to the journey within. The journey within. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good morning, and welcome to the Journey Within. It's brought to you by author of the book entitled Winning in the Gray, your host of this show, Brian Skinner. I'm excited that you have come in to join in this conversation, in this lifelong discussion about the Journey Within. The Journey Within podcast is based off of the principles, knowledge, and wisdom from Winning in the Gray. And so this podcast looks to talk about everyday things that we constantly are faced with. And so I'm excited to have this conversation with you because we look to go down deep. Go down deep. I mean deep. Deep as the ocean floor. To dig up some things and to cause some awareness. Yes, this podcast is based off of Winning in the Gray. That's right, you heard it here first on The Journey Within, that the book is coming out December of 2020. That's right, let me say it again, December of 2020. Listen, I look to talk about a plethora of things, such as the day after graduation. What does it look like just to set up the framework of listening to what's within you to dictate the environment that you're supposed to live in? That's the whole premise of the book, and this conversation will be had here on the podcast. Because what is Winning in the Gray about? Winning in the Gray is all about allowing what's within you to dictate where you're supposed to be. And quite often, we are a lot of times victims of dichotomous thinkers of black and white systems. Black and white systems include family, religious institutions, and much more. That's what we look to get in. Again, the book is coming out December 2020. The conversation will start here on the podcast. And guess what? The conversation will continue on our social media platforms. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You can contact us through Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. BSkinner393. That's right, Instagram. Again, follow us on Instagram at BSkinner393. Also on Facebook, we will create a discussion forum right on our Facebook page at Arthur Brian Skinner. Again, that Facebook page is Arthur Brian Skinner. And then also, you want to give feedback, want to share some concerns, please, we invite you to email us at bskinner393@gmail.com. Again, email me at bskinner393@gmail.com. We looking to take this to a whole nother level. We always talk about we want to go to a higher level. We want to go to another dimension. We're cool. Come on into this podcast. Also, get the book in December of 2020. It's coming out. I'm excited about it because a lot of times, you all, be real. When we have conversations, either in the workplace, on social media, or in other gathering places, there's always a gray area that folk don't like to enter in. Well, guess what? On this show, I promise, I guarantee it, that we're going to enter into that transparent, vulnerable place. And we look to uncover, turn over tables and rocks and mountains. And we look to have that discussion right here on the podcast Journey Within. Tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your grandmama, tell your auntie, sister. Just tell them. Tell them, guess what? The journey within. The journey within. And that's what we come to talk about. That's right. Because the journey doesn't start when you put your airplane information in the browser. It don't start there. The journey starts within you. It starts inside you. And guess what? It manifests on the outside. Guess what? I am a firm believer, and this is where the book is heading. I am a firm believer that what's inside you is going to lead you. Follow it. It will lead you exactly where you're supposed to be. Again, what's inside you is going to lead you exactly where you're supposed to be. So let me encourage listeners, share and like at Arthur Brian Skinner. Also follow us on Instagram. Also, you can email me at bskinner393@gmail.com. Right? Because this conversation is going to continue on Facebook. And also, if you want to email me, cool, do it. Also, this podcast can be heard on many platforms such as iHeartRadio, Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, and some other things. But anyway, go ahead and like and tell some people about this podcast because again, we really gonna get into those difficult conversations. Remember those conversations that your parents didn't like to have with you, or for a lot of listeners that are listening right now, their parents just avoided having these conversations. Well, look, I guarantee you, I said it earlier, let me say it again. I promise you, we're going to get into some conversations about winning in the gray. You know, this book came to me about a year ago. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I had no interest in writing the book. But this book came to me and it was heavy on me. So I began writing, I began talking to people, and I began reflecting on my own experience and just reflecting on what I saw. And I've just discovered that there is some gray. Like it is, man. Like, you know, we avoid certain things, but there's reality in it, right? So the way for some people, this is what black and white systems say. Black and white systems taught us our ABCs. You know, A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y and Z. Right? But the gray says, look, you gonna have C, and then I'm gonna give you Z. and then I'm gonna give you X, and then I'm gonna give you B, and then I'm gonna give you Q, but then I'm gonna give you L, but then I'm gonna give you K, and then I'm gonna give you A. A lot of times, right? A lot of times, the black and white sisters want to teach us, right? Things supposed to happen A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It don't always work like that for a lot of people, right? So a lot of times these black and white systems push their agenda, propaganda, right? So we talk about that because again, we need to bring that light to the forefront, right? You know what? A lot of times, and let me just say this, a lot of times these black and white systems like to overdiagnose people, all right? We like to call people slow. We like to call people dumb, all because they don't fit into our world. The gray has a whole, let me look, the gray has a whole world in itself, right? The black and white system swims in puddles of water, but the gray is definitely the ocean. That this thing is much bigger than us. And the grace journey started when our mamas and daddies got together and our mamas received us and started conceiving us in the womb. And from there, there was things placed within us that we received from our father and our mother. And so after those things, there was some things put inside of us in order to survive. And so this podcast, the book is designed to bring those things out of you. But don't worry, not going to leave you out there to swim with the sharks by yourself. Guess what? We talk about timetables in the book. That's right, timetables. You know, so many people always want to jump to increase and I'm just going to overflow. Well, before you get to overflow and increase, get paid first. And then you can now go into first you got to work, then you got to get paid, then you got to go buy. A lot of times we want to skip steps to certain things. No, it doesn't work like that. It takes time. It takes growth. It takes pain. But eventually you're going to get there. It all takes time to get there. And I just want to encourage the person out there, the person who just got that degree and feel like I need to be making X amount of dollars. You're going to get there. It just takes time. So we talk about those timetables. We also talk about those black and white systems you need to fire. That's right. Um, Especially those some of those folks we have some deep emotional attachments with. That's right. We need to fire some of them folk because some of them folk don't have no business being around us, right? Um, those relationships are distracting us and taking us off our path. We don't need no detours. And guess what? There are no shortcuts. Let me repeat that again. Let me come off the mic. There are no shortcuts. So stop looking for it. It's not going to happen. I just want to help you. And it's in the book. And if you know anything about a journey, you looking for a tour guide, have you checked what's inside of you? You know, a lot of times we have been taught suppression, and in the book we get into more detail about this, but we are taught suppression, and suppression is passed down. So, whenever you're looking to go somewhere, check within you first before you check out anything else or anybody else. So, again, what's inside you is gonna lead you exactly where your environment is. So many times I see so many people that are just out of place in life. And guess what? A lot of times when we see these people, especially folk in positions which they ain't got no business being in these positions, we be like, man, they are really dumb. When in fact, they may not be dumb. They may not be inequipped. Well, they are inequipped, incompetent. But that's just not their environment. Maybe their environment is somewhere else. Maybe they're more effective in another area. And so we look to get inside of that. And so these black and white systems that we talk about in the book, we talk about how these black and white systems pushes us to areas where we are trying to survive in instead of learning how to live. See, what's inside of us is going to teach us how to live. But most of us out here are just surviving. And so I just really believe live life like it's golden. I think it was Jill Scott who said that. So I'm looking to get into this discussion about this because there's some gray areas that we just need to address. And maybe you're the one that's sitting listening to this podcast and you saying, you know what? I need to vibe in my gray. So let me encourage all the let me forewarn you. And one of the chapters talks about the other side of the gray. And it's very important that we talk about the other side of the gray. Have you ever at 2 o'clock in the morning been in some type of pain and you just happen to cut on the TV and the commercial comes on and it tells you, oh, it could take that pain right away from you. However, the side effects is you get a stomach ache, you get cancer, your eyes get in your mouth and all of that. And you like, it just created other problems. Let me tell you something. When you are winning in the gray, when you decide to take that path, whenever you decide to make that journey, guess what? There's another side, and it comes with some heartache and pain. And I go into more details inside of the book about it. Also, let me go further. We all have a responsibility to help others. You know what? Our journeys is gonna help other people in our journeys, and that's what the mirror chapter is about. The mirror talks about the awareness and the responsibility that we have towards number one ourselves, but then also towards one another's. That's why personally my own personal mission is to build bridges, because guess what, the people before me build bridges for me to be at the place where I am right now. And so it's my responsibility to continue building those bridges so the ones who's coming behind me can build bridges for the ones that's coming up behind them. So again, I'm excited about this because this conversation need to be had. Look, I'm looking to bring folk on the show, folk that I know, folk who have great expertise, folk, common folk, you know. These folks that I bring on the show is famous in my eyes. These folk gonna be able to bring their perspective, what they see. Also, when you give your feedback, your feedback can be mentioned on the show. Look, also let me disclose this. I don't know everything, but I know what I know. And so that's why I'm bringing more people into this conversation, because we really looking to open up the sky. They say the sky is the limit, but I believe we can go further than the sky. And that's another thing. Black and white systems will tell you the sky is the limit. And they will be deep when they say it. But guess what? The gray says you can go past the sky. You don't ever have to be limited to the sky. You know why we're so limited to the sky? Let me tell you why we're limited to the sky. Because the sky is what we've been exposed to. And that's how you know you need to find those very folk that is in your life right there. That these folks that's trying to discourage you from taking this path and doing what's within you so you can live and not survive. That's how you know you need to fire them. Because guess what? People are only going to lead you to what they are exposed to. Let me repeat that again. People will only lead you to what they are exposed to, and that's the black and white system. That's right. People will only lead you to what they're exposed to. And so I'm going to help you identify in the book a little further. And man, it's going to hurt you to the bone. Because some of the folk around you, you're going to look at them and like, man, I need to get rid of you. And it's going to hurt. That's why we talk about the other side of the gray. So we're going to dig into all of that. We're going to dig into what that process look like. I got another chapter called You Can't Hear Me. That's right. You can't hear me. You hear what you've been exposed to. You hear what you have subscribed to. But yet you have never taken the time out to hear from me. What other way or what better source can you get it from but by me? Have you ever went to the doctor or a therapist and you start talking and they cut you off and they want to tell you, well, blah, 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 blah. You like, hold up. This is my session. Number one, you don't even know me like that to come up with all these conclusions. Hear me. That's all I'm saying. Hear me. You know, even the ones that's listening to the show, ask yourself, how did it feel to be heard? I mean, truly, how did it feel? You didn't have nobody cutting you off. They were listening to you. They was taking their time. They was trying to hear you. How does it feel to be heard? It's a wonderful feeling. Listen, that's my time. Let me wrap it up. Again, reach us, contact me via email at bskinner393@gmail.com. Again, that email is bskinner393@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram at bskinner393 and also like and share on Facebook at Arthur Brian Skinner. Listen, I got bracelets that says Winning in the Gray that I'm giving out. I got t-shirts that says Winning in the Gray. And also we have hats with quotes from the book that we're going to be giving out. And so if you're interested in obtaining that, again, hit me up via email at bskinner393@gmail.com. Again, like and share Arthur B. Skinner 393@gmail.com. Share that email. Also share us on Facebook at Arthur Brian Skinner. Again, that's my time. I want to give thanks to Catherine, my little sister Catherine. I'm so proud of her. She's helped me put this podcast together. Also, she's responsible for my graphic artwork. And so I appreciate you, Catherine, for your hard work and dedication. Graduation 2021. Let's get it. So proud of you. Continue to do what you do. Again, she will be on the show and she'll get to share her story. And guess what? You're listening to this podcast. I want you to come on the show and share your story. Again, that is my time. That is The Journey Within, brought to you by the author of the book entitled Winning in the Gray, Brian Skinner. The Journey Within